The Mandalorian Season 3 rubbed a lot of Star Wars fans the wrong way. But why? From goofy cameos to Bo-Katan Kryze taking center stage, it seems that Din Djarin and poor little Grogu have been left in the shadows. To some. With the popularity of the first two seasons of The Mandalorian, then the decline in Season 3, how could the dynamic duo of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau write the course for Din Djarin, Grogu, and the Star Wars fandom? Well, to put it plain and simple, you can't. There's no way to satisfy the entire Star Wars fandom. It's just not humanly possible. Not saying there's anything wrong with Star Wars fans, just saying that we are a picky bunch and we kind of nitpick everything there is about anything new in Star Wars. But there are ways that they can take this story that would help the fandom out a little bit, at least some of those that hated Season 3, when we move on to The Mandalorian Season 4. And I'll talk about this, but first let's get into this video's sponsors. Yay! The first is Sarah, and the second is Robert P. Hughes 417. Thank you guys. I really appreciate everything you do for this channel. And just so everybody knows, they don't sell me anything. They don't give me anything. I don't take any kickbacks or anything like that. They're just fans of the channel and wanted to be called sponsors. And I said, okay. So if you'd like to be a sponsor of a video, just let me know. And the sponsor's message is pretty plain and simple. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like for the video, and share the video with some friends, even Lord of the Rings fans. Show them what the better franchise is. And that's what this channel's all about. It's all about the positivity in Star Wars, not the hate or any of that stuff. I don't want to talk about that. I just want to talk about what we like about the Star Wars universe. And The Mandalorian has been one of the best things to come out of the Disney era of Star Wars. Now, whether you agree that Season 3 is good or not, that's here nor there, because the first two seasons are massively agreed upon as being the better of the show. And I'm not saying that I didn't like The Mandalorian Season 3, quite the opposite, but I do like taking on the positions that the people that are opposed to it to have. And I am open-minded. I'm not some kind of Neanderthal that just says, no, my way or highway. No, that's not the way it goes. I have my opinions, you have your opinions, and I welcome those opinions. So, The Mandalorian Season 3. First, the one reason I've heard people complain is because of Jack Black and Rizzo, yeah, whatever her name is, I really don't care. And I couldn't care less that she was in The Mandalorian Season 3. I honestly didn't even know who she was before that. And people started complaining about it, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know what the big deal is, because I don't know who she is, I guess. But Jack Black, he's like a super nerd. If you watch any of his TikTok videos, you'll see he does all kinds of stuff with superheroes and Marvel and Star Wars in his TikToks. And it's quite funny. So it only made sense. And one thing I like to compare it to is that nobody had a problem when Brian Posehn was in The Mandalorian Season 1. That's right. Another comedian, also a Star Wars nerd. Okay, so moving along, I don't want to stick with that for too long. A lot of people didn't like that Bo-Katan Kryze became the Mandalor and the show became about her. Well, it didn't really, but that is what it is, and she did take a lot of the spotlight, and she did take a lot of the center stage, so to speak. But when you look at it like this, Bo-Katan Kryze's story is over. Her getting the Darksaber, losing the Darksaber again as it gets smashed, and then she still remains the Mandalor because of her commitment, her warrior status, her leadership. And she wasn't being followed because of the Darksaber. And I've been saying for a long time, the Darksaber is not a right to lead. Now, I know a lot of people think that Grogu is going to rebuild the Darksaber and become the Mandalor and all this stuff. Come on, stop. That's not what the show was founded on. The show wasn't founded on Din Djarin becoming the leader of the Mandalorians. It was about him being a lone bounty hunter. Even though he was connected to a guild, he still was a lone bounty hunter. Much like Jango Fett. Only difference was Jango Fett was exiled. So there's that. And I also heard there's a Jango Fett comic coming out soon. Man, I can't wait to see that one. Wow. Open seasons, anyone? Anyways, back to it. So The Mandalorian Season 4 doesn't have to go into Bo-Katan Kryze anymore. Not for a while. not for a little while, until the Mandalorian movie or the Mandalorian season 5 or Ahsoka season 2 or something like that. Now the show can go back to focusing on Din Djarin being this protector of his son, the one thing he always wanted. Din Djarin was never the King Arthur of the story. He was Lancelot, hence the shiny armor. For those who thought Din Djarin was going to become the Mandalor and ride the mythosaur, which was never stated anywhere that the mythosaur will rise and be ridden. It was just that it would rise, and it did rise. But those who thought Din Djarin was going to become the leader of the Mandalorians, he never wanted it. Even when he gained the Darksaber from Moff Gideon, he tried to hand it over to Bo-Katan because he didn't want it. He didn't want to be that leader and have that kind of responsibility on him. He wasn't leader material. That's just the way it was. He was a good bounty hunter, and he needed to stay that. Now, I've talked about Din Djarin being the Lancelot of the King Arthur story many times in other videos, so go search those out. They should be in the playlist with the Mandalorian. Should be. I think they are. Yeah, they are. But The Mandalorian Season 4 can right the course for the Star Wars fandom by focusing on Din Djarin and what the founding principles of The Mandalorian were. A man just trying to be out there for his son and being a damn good bounty hunter. Now that Bo-Katan Kryze's story's over. Well, mostly over. She's not dead or anything, but there's no need to bring her in for a full season next time. Maybe an episode or two, and that's about it. But that's not saying I don't like Bo-Katan Kryze, because I do. I actually like her character. And when The Mandalorian Season 3 came out and I saw the previews and trailers showing a lot of Mandalorians, I thought, this is what I want. I want more Mandalorians. I want more of their lore, more of their history, more of how they are going to thrive after the purge of Mandalore by the Empire. And that's exactly what we got. We got that. We got a surviving Mandalorian clan, or clans, that retook their homeland and are going to make it great again. Wait a minute. Don't convey that as our politics in our real world. I try to keep out of that crap. Yeah, but I think that's what should happen for The Mandalorian Season 4, is that they should focus on Mando and Grogu going on different adventures on a weekly basis. That's what the show was originally, and that's what it should be now. I think the fluid story worked well for The Mandalorian Season 3, but we need to go back to what it was founded on in order to make it right again. We saw him bring the Mandalorian clans together, as was foretold, and we saw him help them take the throne back on Mandalore and their home planet. So I think that was a good turn of events for The Mandalorian Season 3. I think it was a good storyline. Now it just needs to move on from that and go to something a little bit different. Now, that isn't to say that everything in The Mandalorian Season 3 was okay by my book. It's not. I mean, there were some goofy moments and left me scratching my head, but those moments were fleeting and they were few and far between, so it wasn't like the whole season of 8 episodes was drawn out by these goofy moments. It didn't ruin it for me. I can move on. But I do understand that some of you don't like it, and I understand why. It changed its format. It changed drastically. But it did add to the Mandalorian story as a whole. Not just Din Djarin, but all Mandalorians. And for God's sakes, in Season 4, please bring back Boba Fett and let's see him kick ass. Please. I don't want to see soft old man Boba Fett walking around just telling everybody, I am Boba Fett. That doesn't cut it, buddy. And not saying the Book of Boba Fett was bad. It's just saying that there was a lot of missteps in it, and we didn't get to see how much of a badass he really is. But for those of you thinking I'm wasting your time, I'm not. Well, I'm not wasting my own time. What I'm doing is I'm just giving you my opinion on what should happen in The Mandalorian Season 4, or what could happen in The Mandalorian Season 4 to make as many people happy as possible. But that's all I have for today. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share the video, and give the video a like. Share it with some Game of Thrones fans, people that are die-hard Game of Thrones, and that's all they like. Why not? I think they'd like Star Wars, and if they don't, you'll annoy the crap out of them, and that's fun too. But I know my channel is not for everyone, not even every Star Wars fan. That a lot of people just don't want to hear about the positivity, and that's okay. I understand that. You guys want to talk about how much you hate Disney and what they've done to Star Wars, then there are plenty of channels out there to talk about that with, but I'm not going to pander to that. I'm going to talk about my love for Star Wars, and we have like-minded people here. So if you love Star Wars and you just want to talk about how great you think it is, then you're at the right place. This is Gerald, a Star Wars fanatic, signing off, wishing you all great health, happiness, and peace. Thank you all for watching, and remember, this is the way, and positivity in Star Wars can be the only way.